So, do you want to play Varus like me?
There's no chance I hit Mord. Holy f, where did my units go? Okay, they might have exploded there.
Exterior will teach you how to play one-shot Varus. In this video, we're going to cover the strongest items, strongest units, and strongest augments. The units we want to itemize is Varus, and his best in slot is mandatory to have at least one Infinity Edge, so his ability can crit. If you have two, it gives you even more damage, and yes, they do stack. And I did forgot to switch it on my thumbnail, but red buff would be the best to have because it gives you more damage, and you need anti-heal on the board because it's hard to put anti-heal on anyone else. The items you can flex around would be like Spirit Soldier if you want to keep casting more, Deathblade, Giant Slayer for damage. If not, you can do Last Whisper to armor break, but I would prefer to have an Even Shroud on your tank, or even a Runan's Hurricane because it does give you some damage. The best artifacts you can choose for Varus would be Sniper's Focus, Fish and Bones, and Mana Zing. For our main tank, we're gonna get is Tahm Kench, and his best in slot is, it's not really too mandatory to build Gargoyle Stoneplate, but I would say it's really good on him. If you want to solo frontline him, it's the way to do it. So I would say Gargoyle Stoneplate is kind of mandatory. Even Shroud, if you don't have a Last Whisper on Varus, you can make an Even Shroud on Tahm Kench. This is preferable this way over a Last Whisper, so Varus' ability can like one-shot everything since armor break is already on the board. And a Warmongs, because you can't go wrong with extra HP. The other tank items you can flex around for Tahm Kench is if you can't build a Warmongs, Redemption is fine, or you could just build one of these items instead, like Protectors or even like a Crown Guard. Bramble and Declaw is okay too, but most of the time you can't really build it. If you can, it's also fine. The artifacts you can play around Tahm Kench would be like Innervating Locket. This is actually one of his highest win rate items. Anima Visage just for the healing and the HP. Eternal Winter, can't go wrong with it. It's a good stun item. And speaking of stun, because Tahm Kench can like stun like multiple units, having Horizon Focus would be really good on him, and he could like one-shot everything with this. For your secondary carry, Xerath would be a really good one, and his best in slot is to have an Adaptive Helm. This item is actually really good on him over Spirit Soldier because it gives you a lot of damage, and it gives you more mana back than a Spirit Soldier could. Then you just put other damage items such as Archangel Staff and Death Cap, and you can flex around. Like if you don't have an Adaptive Helm, putting a Spirit Soldier on is okay, and then you just flex around like other AP items such as Gunblade and Jewel Gauntlet. If not, you could do attack speed item like Rage Blade because you might slam it early for Varus, so you can like save HP and then transfer this to Xerath later. Or you could do anti-heal items such as like Morellicon and Red Buff if your Varus doesn't have anti-heal already. His best artifacts hands down is Azonia's. If not, then the DFG is also good. And the spats to play around would be like Pyro, and they introduce Pan and Last Patch, and if you reforge it, you can turn it into a Spatula, get a bow, turn it into a Pyro. You can throw this on Xerath, it'll be pretty good. Or you can just throw it on anyone so Varus can get extra attack speed. Or you can get Arcana Emblem if you're playing the Arcana Varus route. There is different playstyles to play Varus, but I'm gonna show you this one as a default. If you want to support this type of content so we can keep making more of it, consider hitting that like button and subscribe so we can keep this channel flourishing. Now back to the video. For our openers we want to play is Namzi and Shapeshifters with Twitch as the hunter for Namzi. If you can get a Shyvana in, just throw her in as fast as you can. And Namzi would be the Varus item holder, so you put IE or like whatever you can on her. And either Elise or Shyvana will be your tank units. If you get Shyvana, then just transfer the tank items from Elise to Shyvana. And it's pretty simple, straightforward, like from 4 to 7, you just play all Shapeshifters. But once you hit level 8 is when you basically almost sell everything and play the real board, where you transition into the Varus carry, Tahm Kench carry, and then you get the 2 preservers with Bard and Rakan. You don't have to play these 2 specifically, but I would say this is like the best to have as much HP as you can on the board because you want to put the Signifier, which is the Arcana selector, on Tahm Kench. So the more synergies you have, the more HP you get. And these 2 adds a lot more synergies because Bard is also a scholar with Ari, and he's also a preserver with Rakan. And he's also a Sugarcraft with Rumble. So you get a lot of synergies right here. If you get a Xerath instead, you can prio the Xerath over the Ari because Xerath is just a better unit. So if you find him, you can just switch him out. If you cannot 2-star Rakan, you can also switch out Rakan for Morgana instead. And once you hit level 9, you switch out Rakan to Morgana. Unless you can't get a level 2 Morgana when you have a level 2 Rakan already, I would say don't switch it. And you just add Xerath at level 9. Or if you already have Xerath in, just throw in the Ari at level 9 to have more Arcana on the board. The first item slams you would want to do would be Infinity Edge. This is like the best one to do since having 2 Infinity Edge on Varus is the best. If not, you can do something like Deathblade is okay. But most of the time I don't slam this. But if you want to hard win streak, it's not bad to do. Or even Spirit Soldier on Namzi is actually really powerful. It's not bad on Varus either, but Infinity Edges are better. Or you can just slam like tank items such as Protectors, Warmongs, Gargoyle, and even Crown Guard. Because you need to get rid of the rods, you can just make it to a Crown Guard. In conclusion, I would say Even Shroud and IE is the best slams. If not, all these are fine. And the Arcana selector we want is to have it on Tahm Kench because we get bonus HP, and if you have 4, we get almost a Warmonks for the whole board. There's different type of styles to play Varus. The one I showed you was the Arcana one, which is pretty simple, but if you want to play the Arcana Blaster version, you basically take out the 2 preservers, which is Bard, Rakan, or Morgana, and just throw in Smolder and Ezreal. And the Arcana selector you put on this one's Hecarim because you want to have as much AD as you can on Varus so he can just one-shot the board. That's the reason why you play 4 Blaster, so you can just delete everything. If not, the Sustain version is probably like the easiest, which is the original Arcana version I showed. If you do have a Blaster emblem, you can just throw it on Xerath and take out Ahri and throw in Tristana or something, so you can just one-shot the board like entirely. And then we just got your standard Frost version, which most of us know how to play by now, right? Where it's just if you get an emblem, just throw it on Varus, and then you play with Nasus and level 9 Shen, so you can get Bastion with Diana, and you also get extra Pyros on the board. But if you can play up to 9 Frost, because if you have 2 emblems, you get to play 9, throw it on Nasus, and then trade out the Shen for the Warg, so you can play 9 Frost instead. They did nerf Frost this patch, but it's still doable. And it's still pretty strong-ish if you can like 2-star everything on the board. And then lastly is Pyro. This is like the standard board at level 8 where you put in all the Pyro units. If you have the emblem, throw it on Smolder, and you throw in a Shyvana to get the Dragon trait with the other 2 blasters, which is Ezreal and Hui, so you can play up to 4 blaster and all Pyro. But when you hit level 9, just take out the Shyvana for the Swain and add Diana level 9, so you can also get Bastion with Shen. And you also get Frost on the board, so you get a +1 unit, so that can help you tank a little bit. You can just play Briar instead, I guess, instead of Shyvana, and just throw in whatever, like, legendary units. But I would say this version is probably, like, the best, because Diana's a very strong unit, if you can 2-star her. If you can't 2-star her, well, good luck. Or you could just keep all this in general, and if you have a super cracked Smolder, you just throw in Namzi, so you can have 3 Dragon, and Smolder could just one-shot everything. Totally up to you. Just play whatever style you want for Pyro. And then for our Augments, the order you should play Augments, because this is like tempo gameplay, which is the first one should always be Econ or Item. Then the second one, you pick Item, or if not, Econ. If you have Item ready, just pick Econ after. And then third Augment should always be Combat or Item, because technically Item can be a Combat. This is the order that you should always pick for tempo gameplay. And then for the Augment specifically for Econ, it will be like Spoils of War. You need to kill stuff to get money. Raining Gold, you just get passive income. Epoch, you get to 2-star everything, and you get passive free rerolls with some XP. Balance budgeting, just for like second Augment to get free money. Tiny's Tiny is always good because you get HP back and you get some money. Upward Mobility is a very advanced one. If you don't know how to use this augment, I would say don't use it, but this is a really powerful augment. So this is a good thing to like learn if you want to like climb the ranks. For our item augments, Big Grab Bag is always a good meta one because you get like a lot of free components. You have my sword, you get extra AD, and you get a sword for Varus. Marksman's Toolbox, if you have 0 items for Varus, this is actually fine. And then you get our Thieves Gloves items, which is Sleight of Hand and Band of Thieves is always good. And then for the combat augments, Item Collector for extra stats. Same with Stand United because you play a lot of synergies. This is good for that. Arcana Emblem, Combat Bandages is just good meta one. Avenge the Fallen is actually really up and coming augment. This is actually really powerful because he makes your Varus tankier and he basically does even more damage. And speaking of meta augments, Giant Mighty is just a good default meta one. And I keep saying this a lot, but this is the playstyle which is called Tempo. And at stage 2-1, you level to 4. So you can win streak with that. At stage 2-3, make 10 gold or 20 gold, depending where you're at. If you have more than the intervals of 10, like for example, like 14 or 24 gold, pre-level to 5. So it looks something like this, 8 out of 10 gold. Don't hit 5 yet, because after you come back from Carousel, then you hit level 5, and you get the level 5 shop there. If not, at stage 2-4, you level to 5 instead, throw out +1 unit. At stage 2-6, make 20 or 30 gold, whatever intervals of 10 you can make. At stage 3-2, level to 6, and then at stage 3-7, level to 7, or you can level to 7 earlier, up to you, whatever you want to do. At stage 4-2 or 4-1, I would prefer 4-1, since Varus is heavily contested right now. You level to 8, and you roll for your board. So we start off our first game with Silver Augment, and we don't see any Econ Augment, so we roll. We didn't find anything, so we just took Iron Asset for Item Augment, and we popped the Anvil to see that we have Glove. So we're going to take that because we have Sword to make Infinity Edge. And with the leftover items, we're going to make Rune's Hurricane. And then since we can have a Shapeshifter opener, our opener is going to be 2 Hunters with 2 Bastions in the front line. And we also hit level 4 to keep tempo. As you see here, our board is now transitioned to Shapeshifters because it's better since you have Dragon with Shyvana and Namzi. You can see at stage 2-3, we're also saving 10 gold. At stage 3-1, I decided to hit 6 right now because we can keep winning streaking with this because I have 100% HP. It would be better to do it next turn for regular tempoing, but because we hard roll 2 Rakans and we have a champion duplicator, we decided that we wanted to duplicate this and put the Even Shroud item into the Rakan so we can keep win streaking. High level place. For our second augment here, we want either item or econ, but for right now we're trying to look for econ since we have okay items, and we found Slamming, so therefore we're just going to take that so we can use that as our econ augment. This is not going to be your typical Varus game. I just high rolled very hard hitting Varus at 3-3 and hitting a Rakan 2 with the Tahm Kench 1, and you can see here how much damage that my Varus will do here. Oh, my Varus didn't cast her. I think I'd lose that round. I'm cheating, man. Because we stuck the Slam and Augment, we decided to hit 7 at this turn so we can just keep tempoing more and more because we're at 100% HP. So we're just going to be down like around like 50 gold, but we decided to roll here because we're trying to like, you know, stabilize our board so we can keep win streaking. At stage 4-1, we decided to hit level 8 so we can roll for our board here. Main reason why we're doing this because Varus is very contested, so we want to hit Varus 2 as soon as we can. For our third augment here, we saw Item Collector, so we're going to roll the other ones to see what we can get. We see Stand United, and that'll be a lot better for this board because we get more damage, so we could play one-shot Varus that way. Item Collector is not too bad, but I just prefer Stand United. And this is how our board looks like for the final round, so we could just win the game this way. We 2-star just a regular Arcana Varus board. The only thing I could do is 0-2, maybe 3-star 4-cost units. If I'm lucky enough. Technically, I should lose against this guy right now. Oh, we won. And even though we haro a board, don't forget what I mentioned like throughout this whole gameplay is where how I econ really well, and I also got the right augment so I can get this first place. Even though I rolled very hard, if I didn't do any of that stuff, I probably would have got like a 4th or a 3rd. Just keep that in mind. And that is it for my one-shot Varus guide. If you have any questions, just leave me in the comment section down below. I'll try to answer to the best of my capabilities. Until then, I'll see you guys later.